Okay, we'll take it away. So, start pedaling. Number one, that pedaling turns the console on. So it'll come up and it'll just give you a quick welcome, let you know everything is working. And then it's going to dive right into your workout data. It's a pretty simple layout. The idea here was all of the information that you need is right there all the time. So let me just walk you through what you're seeing on the screen. In this upper area in blue, we have watts, big, bright, center. It's duplicated right here on the very first line, watts. So that's your power output. Why is that on there twice? I'll tell you in just a second. We've also got your calories, your average watts, so that cumulative data that's a little bit secondary, a little smaller along the side. My RPM, my average RPM, heart rate, not showing anything yet. I'll show you how to pair the heart rate strap in just a moment. Average heart rate, my total time, and my distance. Pretty straightforward. So why is that in blue on top? Not necessarily every class you're going to teach is going to focus on watts. You might not always want the riders focused on watts. So if I push this button over here, it's going to cycle through the other metrics. So if I want everyone looking at RPM, I can get them to bring RPM up here on top. Now obviously you might still want them to be aware of or look at some of the other data that's on here. So that's why it's always on the screen. The data that you always want to see is always there. One button does one thing. So if I push this again, as you might expect, it's just going to scroll through the other 4 metrics that are on there. Beats per minute is my heart rate. That's at 0 at the moment. So let's pair my heart rate strap. So to pair your heart rate strap, very similar to the button that we have on the current consoles, I just push this, and I got to lean in close and bring my heart rate near the console because it's proximity pairing. Once it pairs, now you're going to see my heart rate. That's awesome. It's just that simple. The nice thing about that is you get a crowded class, people wearing heart rate straps all over the place. It's not going to inadvertently pair to whoever's next door. And that's what will drive you crazy. And again, I push that button one more time and it's just going to give me total time. So it scrolled through all of the different metrics that are on the screen and back to watts. Pretty simple. One button does one thing. So we know what the blue button does. We know what the heart rate button does. What's this button in the middle? It's intervals. That's all the only other thing on here. And it's green and it hopefully is going to tie you in visually to this green area down here at the bottom. But I push it one time and I start my first interval. So in order to keep things simple and straightforward, every button push is going to increment that interval one time. And it's going to save up to 10 intervals throughout the class. And a little bit of the feedback we've had is, hey, we do interval sprints and there might be 20 intervals in a class. Yeah, okay, great. But you're probably not looking to go back and review all of that data every time. This interval button is really tried to key it a little bit more towards how we would do an average power training. So if I want to look at over the course of my 40-minute or hour workout, some specific 5-minute periods where I'm trying to hold an average watts or push an average power level, that's where that data is saving. You can certainly use it for a Tabata type interval, but Tabata type intervals are a little bit less interesting in that people are not typically wanting to look back at the data over every single interval over the course of the class. So if I push it again, it's just going to start the next interval.
Awesome.
Pretty simple. You saw it briefly flash interval 2 up here. When I'm done with my workout, I stop pedaling. First it'll go into pause mode. Pause mode is about 2 minutes long. I get up, I can get a drink of water, I can grab a towel. And then if I start pedaling again, I'm right back into my workout. So it doesn't forget me, right, instantly, which is kind of nice.
It is.
But when I'm done, if I want to go back through and look at my data, I might not want to wait patiently for 2 minutes. So if I push and hold that interval button for just a moment, it'll get me into my summary mode. And in my summary mode, it'll tell me, well, how many calories did I burn? What were my average watts over the course of the workout? My average RPM and heart rate. I think average information is more interesting now that I'm in summary mode. If I were to continue pedaling, it'll tell me what am I doing right now, but that's not really what it's all about. And this will tell me how long my workout was. And now if I want to know, well, how was interval number 1? Okay, well, interval 0 is sort of my total workout, but interval number 1, there's my data. So it was 1 minute long, I burned 2 calories, there was my average watts within interval 1. So I can go back through, and every time I push that button, it'll just keep going through to my next interval up till 10, and then it'll cycle back through however many intervals I did in summary mode, and it just stays here. For as long as I'm pedaling, or as long as I'm pushing buttons, we're in summary mode.
That's awesome.
Yep. If I stop and walk away, after about 2 or 3 minutes, it'll turn itself off, and we're done. But if I want to reset, the next class came in real quick, and somebody was hanging around for a long time, and it's in summary mode, but I want to start a workout right now and get going, I can just push and hold that button again. And we're back to the ball control.
Boom.